Welcome back, everybody, or if you're new, welcome to my channel, The Chronicles of Colvin, where we do movie reviews, movie reactions, movie talk, movie news. I do some cosplay reactions, reviews, as you can tell, and today we're talking spoiler review for Fantastic Four First Steps. Real quick, if you haven't yet, guys, please like the video, subscribe, hit that notification bell. I'm trying to build up my subscribers, get my channel out there so I can bring you guys more content like this if you guys like it. So with that being said, let's go ahead and nerd out for the next few minutes, talk about spoilers for Fantastic Four First Steps. If you don't want to be spoiled, go watch my non-spoiler review and then come back and watch my spoiler review after you've seen the movie. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get dived into this. Fantastic Four First Steps. I had a lot of fun with this movie. It was a fun time at the movies. If you've seen my non-spoiler review, you know I went to the AMC Thursday night fan screening or fan event in IMAX. I had a good time with it. There were people in costumes. It was almost sold out. Everybody was just having a good time with these MCU movies because they are events, not just movies. As far as spoilers, let's go ahead and get into it. The only thing I really didn't like about this movie was I didn't feel like they showcased their powers enough, especially with Reed. I felt like there was a lot of points in the movie where Reed would be writing on a chalkboard or doing an experiment where he could have definitely reached across the room, reached over here, wrote clear over here, came over here, looked at it, reached back here, grabbed the egg he was working on. I mean, he could have been moving around his whole office, and we never really saw that. The only time he really used his powers was at the end. Johnny uses his powers sporadically throughout. I was disappointed we never got a flame on. He doesn't say that. Sue's definitely looks like she's the strongest of the four in this universe. Ben, of course, is strong, but we don't really get to see him do much. We see him pull a ship out of the ocean. We see him do some things like that. In the final battle, really, all we see him do is run through some pillars on a building to crush it. He does say the line. He does say it's clobbering time in the movie. I thought it was very underwhelming when he says it in the movie. I thought it could have been much better. And we really don't get to see him clobber. So that was my biggest nitpick with the movie, was we didn't get to see them showcase their powers on a scale that I really wanted to see. We didn't get to see, and my second complaint was there wasn't a lot of character development. There is very surface level writing with these characters. I wanted to dive in more with them, find out more about these characters and what makes them tick. Just getting my two main complaints out of the way. As far as spoilers, the plot really revolves around, we kind of jump into this story. They've been the Fantastic Four for 4 years. We get this backstory basically like on a interview segment for like a Tonight Show type thing, where basically we're just told, you know, they went to space. They got these cosmic powers while they were in space. They came back to Earth. Now they're the Fantastic Four. And they save this universe. And we see the flashbacks of different people they fought. Mole Man, who comes back and plays a part at the end. And, you know, all these other characters. The Red Ghost, which was supposed to be played by John Malkovich, but they cut his character out except for the post-credit scene. But we get all this information thrown at us really fast. They went to space. They had these cosmic things. They got these powers, all this. Okay, then we see that. Then we go into Sue's pregnant. She just finds out she's pregnant. That's right off the beginning of the movie. She finds out she's pregnant. Reed's running all these tests, trying to figure out, will the child have powers? Has he been affected by the cosmic forces that affected them? We then go through, the Silver Surfer shows up, basically tells him, your world has been marked for death, Galactus is coming. So Reed decides they're going to go back to space. They're going to try to negotiate with Galactus, which they do. They get to space, they negotiate with him, but Galactus' price is he wants Reed and Sue's baby because he can tell that it has power, and he wants the baby because it's going to help him because his power is so great. Of course, they say no. They come back to Earth. They get chased by the Silver Surfer. They try to escape. It's a big space chase. Sue ends up having her baby in space. They finally make it back to Earth. It's been a month when they get back. Galactus is coming, so they're trying to figure out a way they can stop Galactus, which this is here where Reed really starts to use his mind, but he doesn't really use it like I thought he would. He really doesn't seem like he's that vastly smart in this universe. They don't highlight on his brain and how smart he is. He's supposed to be the smartest person in the MCU, and I just didn't feel like Pedro Pascal gave that vibe off as the smartest person in the MCU. They do highlight on how his brain works and how he sees the worst in everything, but they just didn't really capitalize on it. I felt like they really could have done more with it. So basically they set this big trap for Galactus. Galactus shows up. They're going to lure him to this spot where they can send Galactus through this portal to another universe. Their original plan was they were going to send their whole Earth to another universe, which I kind of thought was what they were going to do, and it was going to fail, and that only a few of them would get sent to the main MCU continuity Earth. But that didn't happen because Silver Surfer shows up. She destroys all the portals except for one. So then this fight ensues with Galactus. They're trying to lure him to the spot. I was very disappointed with this last fight. I thought their powers could have been on more display with Galactus because none of them really fight Galactus except for Sue. Reed gets stretched out by Galactus, and it's like it's painful to him to be stretched out that far. You see him kind of swinging and climbing some buildings. Johnny really doesn't fight Galactus at all. Reed does a little bit on his back because he's able to climb and pull some stuff and do that kind of thing. The Thing, Ben really doesn't fight Galactus, and he could have got in some good hits. Really, the only thing he does is runs through some pillars on a building, and the building falls and kind of makes Galactus fall with it. Now, Johnny was going to sacrifice himself and push Galactus into the portal, but the Silver Surfer shows up, and she knocks Johnny out of the way, because as you find out earlier, Johnny cracks her language and finds out that she basically sacrificed herself to work for Galactus to spare her planet. Now she's sending Galactus back because she's conflicted by her decisions, and she feels guilty of all the people that they've killed to protect her world. Sue dies in the fight. She uses her power so much that it kills her to push Galactus through this portal. And then Baby Franklin brings her back to life, is when they basically show that he has powers. That's the movie in a nutshell. Like I said in my non-spoiler review, the movie moves very fast. The first act, towards the middle, towards the end, it kind of slows down and gets bogged down in itself. But then it picks back up in the third act. It's fun. It does feel like a comic book taken from the page right to the screen, very similar to Superman. But it did have some disappointing aspects to the movie. One thing I did like was, I think it was a discussion about all the destruction in the MCU movies, because for the final battle, they do work with Mole Man. He comes back at the end, and basically they take everyone in New York down to Subterranea, underground, when Galactus gets there. So all the buildings are evacuated for the final battle, and no innocent people die because they're all underground, and it's just buildings and property damage that occurs with the final battle. Now, to get into post-credit scenes, The one post-credit scene at the very end is just the cartoon from that world, which was a Fantastic Four cartoon. Red Ghost is in that one in animation form. But the big post-credit scene was Doctor Doom shows up to see Franklin, but he does have a hood on, but you do see him holding the mask talking to Franklin. The theater erupted at that scene. I think it would have been much bigger if you would have actually got to see Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom and not just the hood over his face. They did confirm it was him in the hood, but we don't get to see his face, which I thought was disappointing, and I think they should have shown his face. I think it would have even been more of an eruption if you got to see his face. Now, my issue with that post-credit scene and with Fantastic Four First Steps is Thunderbolts. Their post-credit scene was the Fantastic Four ship entering the atmosphere. Fantastic Four First Steps does not hint on that at all. So I don't know if that's something that's to come in Avengers Doomsday, or what's that going to happen, if that's the Fantastic Four, if that's Doctor Doom, if he kidnaps Franklin. I don't know what, but it's something to look forward to. I thought they were going to highlight on that. I thought that's what the post-credit scene was going to be. I actually thought the movie was going to end far different. I thought it would be more of they would fail fighting Galactus, and the Fantastic Four would have to leave their Earth to come to the MCU Earth to get help to fight Galactus. I thought is how this was all going to go, and that they would lose their Earth, and then they would join the MCU Earth and adopt it as their own and help them fight Galactus and Doomsday. And that's how Doctor Doom would come into things. But that's not what happened, which is fine. But I did enjoy this movie. As far as a rating, I give it a 7 out of 10. It's not a perfect movie. It does move slow at points. There wasn't the character growth and development I wanted to see. They didn't really showcase their powers like I wanted to see. I did like the design. The 60s futuristic design I really liked. I liked the costumes. I thought it worked for the world that they built. I want to see how they're going to improve the costumes when they come into the MCU, if they're going to stay the same or if they're going to be upgraded. I want to see all that. But overall, I liked it. I enjoyed it. I recommend you go see it. It's another chapter in the MCU saga. And it was good and it was decent. They're getting back to more of what the MCU used to be. It is not woke. If you have heard it is not woke. They're moving away from that. And I feel like the MCU has been very successful this year. We've gotten Captain America, we've gotten Thunderbolts, and now we've gotten Fantastic Four First Steps. We've had Daredevil sprinkled in there on Disney+, which was a success. I have not watched Ironheart. I just haven't been able to make myself get into it or sit down and watch it. I might here soon just to do a review of it for you guys, but it wasn't something that jumped out to me. I want to see the MCU get back to quality over quantity, because the quantity stuff they've been putting out the last 5 years hasn't been quality. It's just been throwing us all this stuff, and nobody really cares about it because the characters aren't being developed. They're not reaching the audience. People don't care about it, and I want to see them get back to the quality stuff like they've done this year. Fantastic Four, like I said, the quality was there. I just felt they could have done more with the characters. Acting could have been a little better by some, but other than that, a solid chapter in the MCU. So I recommend it. Go see it. Let me know in the comments what you thought of Fantastic Four First Steps. Let me know what you think is going to happen in the future with the Fantastic Four. They will return in Avengers Doomsday. How big a role, we don't know yet. But I hope everybody enjoys it. Thank you for watching. Have a fantastic weekend. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. And we'll see you guys on the next video.